Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Natalie Zfat, and I'm a Studio 30 Ad Age contributing editor. Today's episode of Studio 30 Live is a reunion of sorts. I am thrilled to be joined in just a moment by Josh Golden, the CMO at Quad and formerly the Ad Age president and publisher. Over his tenure, about 5 years at Ad Age, I had the privilege of working with Josh very closely on some wonderful projects. And I'm so thrilled to be welcoming him back today to Studio 30 Live. So please help me give a warm welcome, or I should say welcome back to Josh Golden.
Oh my God, Natalie, that was the nicest welcome. Thank you so much. Gosh, it's funny to be here versus there or the other way. Yeah.
Well, we're thrilled to have you back. And also welcome to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Please drop us a note. Let us know where in the world you are watching from so we can give a shout out to you later. Josh, I want to start out by asking you a question or two about Quad. I know you've been there about 6 months now, and it seems like there's been a lot of changes at Quad. Why don't you give us a little bit of an update about what things look like and what's kind of evolved there?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, it's funny. Coming from effectively the center of the marketing universe at Ad Age, I had the benefit of a really good viewpoint. And coming to Quad and seeing all the industry, all the things that were happening in the industry, all the things that are going on, it was a wonderful opportunity to sort of select, what was going to be my next chapter. So having the benefit of looking and really analyzing what was out there gave me the ability to look at what companies were really doing something hard that wanted to evolve and change. And Quad, having had a history of almost 50 years in the print and publishing space, more recently they purchased agencies and other production companies that have given them what I would argue a through the line offering. So I just loved that idea that they were looking to evolve their brand and change their brand in a kind of a maker philosophy, that everything they do they make from scratch effectively. And I love that piece. So I love being at Quad, and after 6 months, or actually I think it's 5.5 months or so, we'll call it 6. It's given me the chance to start to tell the story. So this conversation is the first time that I'm talking about Quad publicly, which is really exciting for me to do. And I have loads to say, Natalie. Loads.
Well, I have a lot of questions, so I'm glad to hear it. Considering all that Quad is doing to sort of transform and solve for brands and marketers, I wonder why, in your words, it feels so important to the industry.
Yeah, gosh, one of the things I love the most about Quad is it's this concept of that I think I can't tell if I'm inventing it, but it's a thing. I'm a big fan of this podcast, which is called The Hidden Brain. And one of the things that this gentleman speaks about is this concept of removing friction from your life, which, by the way, it sounds like a brilliant idea. Like if you want to work out in the morning, it's hard because it's like you have to go to the gym and put on your workout clothes. So he suggests, for example, removing friction and like wearing workout clothes to go to sleep. And it just makes the workout process like, oh, I'm already in my workout clothes. I'll just go do that. So Quad, similarly, has this frictionless philosophy where, in fact, so they have this heritage in print for 50 years. And of course, they've added on multiple agencies and production, solutions and media solutions that allow them to have a wide and varied point of view. But the best part is there's a full through the line offering. And then, opportunistically, no friction between the handoff between, well, this company is doing this and this company is doing that. It's one company. So when you look at the holding companies, for example, I would argue that they are wonderful at their idea creation, but they outsource their production. Or, the large consulting firms, they're terrific with their strategic thinking, but many times pass on that strategic thinking to like, go get it. But Quad is similar, or is dissimilar from all those, because Quad both does the top of the funnel work and the ideas and the innovation and the marketing, and then the production, and then the delivery, and then the logistics and execution. And it's kind of one of a kind. And so I love that concept of frictionless marketing, because it allows us as Quad to deliver a solution not only to the client, but also to the end customer, of something that makes it easier for them to engage with brands. So I love that thought. And I'd like to see how far we can take it.
I love that thought too. And I'm now considering wearing workout clothes to sleep. Didn't know that was going to happen today, but good.
You know what? Anything's possible in this kind of conversation, Natalie. You get that, it's kind of a quick thought.
That's right. That's right. Well, I want to touch on this sort of idea that omni-channel strategy has really been kind of the go-to for so long for so many marketers. But as time has gone on, it's also become increasingly complicated.
Yeah.
And I wonder if you would tell us a little bit more about your approach. I know you believe that marketers and brands really need to think multidimensionally and sort of beyond multi-channel. Would you explain to us kind of why you
Sure,
think
sure.
this way?
It's a I would think it's subtle, but it's important. When you think about omni-channel in the way that people, or I've considered it before, it's sort of this stacked layer of different things. Like, how do you reach the consumer wherever they are? It's what I consider, it's multiple ways of using the media properties to gain access in that particular way. When you think of multidimensionally, I think of it much like, because our offering has the ability to sort of hit all these different levers, is that whether it's the brand strategy piece or the media buying piece or the channel execution piece, we have the capacity to not only execute on those particular deliverables, but also figure out from the measurement and analytics perspective, well, that piece didn't work. You really need more like a level 1 deliverable here and a level 4 deliverable here. So we have the ability to really react much like the consumer is multidimensional. They are living in store, on digital, in their digital life, or at home, at their front door. Lots of different ways to deliver a message to them. And Quad has the capacity to communicate multidimensionally, in that we do all of these things where we deliver endlessly to so many different channels, but we also have the ability to communicate, or to change the amplitude, whether it's a really important direct piece of mail or it's an important piece of digital, and we have the ability to measure that effectiveness and then create a solution that's customized for each particular client's needs, because we have such great transferable skills.
I want to get to the mail piece in just a moment.
Yeah.
Before I do, I want to talk about the last 2 years. Obviously, it's no secret that the last 2 years have really been a catalyst for so many companies to make change, and in many cases, big changes.
Yeah.
I wonder how the team at Quad is adapting, and also kind of what are some of your biggest takeaways? How has the disruption of the past 2 years affected you, and Quad's sort of evolution from a legacy print organization to a solutions company? Give us, I know I just asked you like 9 questions, but give us kind of the playbook of how that past 2 years has looked for you internally.
Yeah, I mean, I've only been here for about 5, but I can tell you that the pandemic has been, it's been beyond the kind of the tragic nature of the disease and the fact that we're still struggling through the midst of it. It's really hard. But the most interesting thing, I think, from a Quad's perspective, is in fact we've had to continue to make the proverbial donuts, as it were. We have to be in there making the publishing, making the catalogs, making the direct mail, making the in-store, and all of our plants haven't had the ability, or the we've had to stay very safe, but we've kept everything going, because I think one of the reasons I love Quad so much is there's this philosophy of the maker philosophy that's really inherent to Quad. Harry Quadracci, who was the founder of the business, really believed there's always a better way to go do something, and the pandemic has sort of motivated Quad to be even more innovative about how we go make all of the things we make. But also, because we're an idea-based company as well, the making has continued to happen, but obviously a little differently. We do it sometimes from home. But I think the maker culture, I think, has been sort of taken to 11 and pushed what it is that Quad can go make. And then also the innovations that have come out of that have even allowed a person like me to join the company. And because Quad is looking to evolve their visibility in the marketplace, because now they have I think a terrific story to tell. And I get to be the person, at least the first person, to start to tell everyone about it.
I know we touched just briefly on the printing piece, and I'm so curious to hear a little more. I know that Quad has sort of worn that just print badge very proudly for so long.
Yeah.
I read something crazy that Quad sends more mail than any company in the country. 9.3% of all marketing mail. It's a pretty big chunk if you think
Right.
about it.
And not just the mail, Natalie. It's like there's catalogs and there's magazines. It's a lot. We print a
Sure.
lot.
Yeah. And I wonder, like, when somebody nails it and is so authoritative in one industry, what kind of gives you the confidence level to go so boldly into other ones? What has that sort of process looked like?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. Well, okay, I'm gonna take a stretch for a minute here, but let's just go with me for a minute. I think Quad has this expertise in the last 50 years. It's created extraordinary understanding in certain key areas. And if I were to compare it to a company that motivated me to join, frankly, I would say it's most like Amazon before it moved into other zones. Like obviously Amazon started with they wanted to make sell books, right? So anything was easy to mail. So books was the place they do, and what grew from Amazon's sort of books selling was sort of to create a marketplace, and then obviously the marketplace evolved quite substantially into entertainment and other whole business units. But the transferable skills that Amazon developed from the book process piece allowed them to evolve to do everything else. So Quad has extraordinary transferable skills, whether it's the automation that we did, to come up with all of our printing plants and how they align to be connected together, the technology that was developed for that, the supply chain infrastructure intelligence that we had to develop to bring all the pieces in and have those pieces together that can then pushed out to our clients. I think the sustainability story that we have as well, to not only focus on how to getting product out the door, but to do it in a way that's good for the planet. And I think that piece for me, that singular little hook, allowed me to start to see the story of where Quad can go into the future. And I just love that idea of the scalability that we offer with our transferable skills gives Quad the ability to go into any industry and just be very successful. So I think that's as close to I'm workshopping it, Natalie, but I think it feels right.
This is good. I'm glad to help you workshop it. I want to hear more
Yeah.
about the sustainability efforts. That's really awesome. Before I do, though, if you are just joining us, welcome. This is Ad Age Studio 30 Live. My name is Natalie Zfat, and I'm a contributing editor here. Josh Golden, the CMO of Quad, is joined with us here today, and he's talking about why CMOs need to think multidimensionally beyond omnichannel. Before we get back to the conversation, I want to do some shout outs. We've got a wonderful crew of people here watching. We've got Abdul Hamid from Nigeria. I hope I got your name right. Max from Tennessee. Katie from New Jersey. Youssef from Saudi Arabia. Troy from Michigan. Roger from New York. Hey Mac from North Carolina. And Cam from Oregon. Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in today.
So nice to see everyone tuning in still. Dig it.
Yeah, loving it. Josh, you touched briefly on sustainability. I wonder if there's anything to add there, any details you want to share with us.
Gosh, I just love our sustainability story. We have a great ESG report we just put out. It's our first ESG report we've ever done, Quad has ever done. And the sustainability stories that we're doing, in particularly with packaging, which I happen to, my wife and who I love hearing about any insight she has to offer. She talked to me about how it's become so important for her to recognize the sustainability of the packaging solution that goes along with the product. And Quad just happens to be an expert in this particular, zip code. And so the companies that come to us and ask us for their, for a solution, we can not only help them with their branding and their marketing and all those pieces, but we also have a terrific sustainability story that we're telling quite publicly. And I love that because it allows us into what I would argue is a critical zip code for to show our innovation that isn't just focused on like and get more messages out there, but more messages out there smartly and delivered sustainably. And that extends, frankly, to so many different areas of our company.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, obviously, it sounds like Quad has been around for 50 years and constantly innovating. I wonder if you can share with us some other recent innovations or ideas that sort of get you fired up to be a leader at this company.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously with the death of the third-party cookie, it's kind of like, oh, okay, everyone knows that that's happening. But the truth is, Quad has some terrific things that we've developed internally that gives us, I think, a special access that clients can start to rely upon. I think the Edwin was mentioned in when I was in the seat at that age that you're in, Natalie, that I interviewed Eric Ashworth, and he talked a lot about front door media. And that's the concept that, in fact, Quad, because this is the accurate number, by the way, we send around I'll call it over 800 billion impressions per year. And so when you add up, the top 3 networks, we're bigger as a media company sending media out than the top 3 networks. So for us, and that how print media or a media you can touch is much more valuable because of the endowment effect. So, and it also lives in your house. So front door media is an idea I'm super excited about because I know that it can in fact create an opportunity for clients that are looking to have a different media outlet, they can come to Quad and look to us to have us provide that solution that delivers a message to people's front door. Just like you can curate your inbox and your Facebook friends, you should be able to curate also the what mail comes to you. And Profile Collective is another audience solution that allows us to start to understand the enormity of the audience that we're mailing things to, but then select which audience is going to be delivered a message from our brand. And that's an audience data part of our company that we haven't really started to scream from the mountaintops just yet, but I'm excited to do that. I think the last piece, which is exciting, is the concept of our partnership with Flowcode, with Tim Armstrong's company, and we have the ability to incorporate measurement that is obviously what when the analytics that come back from marketing, you want to know what something is doing, and using something like whether it's flow codes in a store or flow codes on a piece of mail, it allows for us to know what's working and what's working best. So I love those pieces, those starts of story. I mean, it's 5 months in, but I kind of dig having that story being told much more publicly.
I want to shift our focus for a moment to a topic that has been really important forever, but over the last 2 years has really risen to the ranks and has had a lot of companies taking initiative. And that is, of course, diversity. Diversity was actually recently named ANA's Marketing Word of the Year for 2021 last week. I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit more, Josh, about Quad's DE&I initiatives, certainly in the wake of social justice movements over the last 2 years and George Floyd's murder. What are you guys working on internally?
Yeah, I mean, this is a critical reason why I joined the company. I had the benefit of, really asking Joel, the CEO, to help me understand that focus. And he's such a great leader in this way that the focus of his driving is not only focused on because Quad is an enormous company. It's a 15,000 employees or so, and they've always been focused on the premise that everyone be treated equally and fairly. And I love that piece. But not only that, Joel has pushed all of Quad to sort of come up with a sustainable strategy that allows us to understand what in fact can we go do, not only within our ranks, but also externally to our ranks. So I love having that sort of view from the top that's really driving what it is what we should be doing. So not only have we launched the DE&I task force to help us figure out what ways we can go address what's happening within the industry and be a thought leader in that space, but also the internal BRG business resource groups that allowed each employee to have a voice about what is important and what needs to be said about the company. And also we're contributing locally. I know that Quad is very focused on the local efforts. So we contributed specifically to the Brand Lab, which introduces young people, particularly people of color, to and low-income families to have careers inside of the creative field. So I love that we have not only a mission, like a long-term mission to go solve for DE&I, but also we have a short-term focused efforts that are really measurable. And frankly, we're just starting. And I love that I get to be a part of driving that growth, but also holding us accountable every single year. How are we doing against it, and measuring it with the ESG report, which I mentioned previously.
Yeah, I think that roadmap is everything in terms of making sure you're actually putting some of these, beliefs and plans into practice. So good to hear it. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Of course, Natalie.
I wonder, I think you talked so much about some of the challenges that so many marketers face and some of the solutions that Quad is providing, especially with sort of profile segmentation. I wonder if you can look out a little bit, maybe it's 3 or 5 years out, and sort of tell us how you envision the industry restructuring itself to really meet those client needs more efficiently.
Oh, wow. It's funny. I just had this. I just did an interview with Denise Karkos that we're actually, I think it launched today. It's called Q-Tales, my thought leadership series that I'm doing with Quad, and I focus on this theme, which I think is really important to recognize as a human being. Frankly, that's the challenge of the status quo. It's so easy to do tomorrow what you were doing today, and it's actually hard to change. But as I love to be to drive change, it's what I love to do. I love the thought that we're in the middle of this horrible pandemic, and the truth is everyone keeps asking, when will this be over? And I don't think it will ever be over. In fact, we have to plan for, this is the way it is for now, and maybe it will evolve into the future, but we have to keep planning new things. So I love, kind of saying what are the status quo is working, and then be willing to relinquish maybe this isn't working so well, let's try something new, or try 5 new things and see which those 5 things need to be doing. I know that a lot of times marketers get very comfortable with, or perhaps marketers are more comfortable with change, and then the rest of the management teams tends to be not so comfortable. But I think it's really important to push that evolution from a status quo perspective, and then drive what change needs to happen within your industry, both internally and externally. And I think that is something that I'm super excited to do for Quad, because they have such a great and fertile ground that we can grow from. And the status quo that's been obviously evident for years and years of doing certain things in a certain way, I think allows us to go and explore new whole areas to innovate within, which is exciting for me.
Well, speaking of you, I
Oh,
wonder
stop, Natalie.
I wonder if we could zero in on your role. I mean, everyone knows that the CMO position is complex and taxing, and I think we hear a lot about the challenges of this role. Not sure if you felt the weight yet in 6 months. Would love to hear your thoughts if you have. I know your whole team's watching, but feel free to tell us what your challenges have been. But also, I wonder if you can maybe look at something that you sort of have enjoyed. Maybe there's something you feel lucky to be able to work on in your new role as you've entered.
Sure. So challenges, I think change is always hard, Natalie, for me. I love, I always tend to love, well, maybe it's a thing that what I would suggest. I like the opportunity to work with people I really enjoy, which I had the benefit of working with you, Natalie, so I can say that's true. And everyone else who is in the sound of the voice, I'm sure, has had hopefully the opportunity. It's something I truly, truly, truly do love. I love working with people that I enjoy, and I would suggest that if in fact there's a way to I guess it feels less like work if you're doing it with people you enjoy. So I find that if you have the benefit of doing that in your job, then it doesn't feel much like a job. But I guess to go back to the challenge question, I'm going to say it's for the first 12 months. I've been telling my team this, that for the first 12 months, it's a little like a paddywhacker. And, you kind of have to get used to the fact that there's a way that we were doing something, and that was awesome. And now we're going to try to evolve it to be something new. So you have to, like, when you start working out, your muscles are sore and my back is bad. I can't bend down. And so it's a little sore to start up with a new company at this scale, to change so many things that could be changed. And then you have to be selective. Like, you can't do it all. And you have to choose, like, year 1, we're going to do this, and year 2, we're going to focus on bigger. And I think those two things, both doing a hard thing with people that you enjoy, but recognizing it is hard. And it is something that I am joyful about, because every day I get to, work on a hard thing with people I enjoy, but also I get to have an impact in an industry that is really, really welcoming the change. And I love the brand. I tell the team internally about, maybe 2 months into the job, you're like, you're never totally sure. And then you're like, oh, wait, I think this could be awesome. And then I said, I pronounced my love for the brand. And, it came as like a real surprise. Like, wow, I think I love this brand because it's Midwestern in its focus, and it's wonderfully supportive, but it's also ready to change. And so I just feel like I'm in this terrific seat, and I'm so very lucky to be here.
I feel like we have time, maybe 60 seconds for one more question, but I know you're up for the challenge.
Go for it, Natalie. I'm ready.
I would love to hear, because I think you came from such a unique position as a publisher and a president to a CMO. I wonder if there's anything you're taking from your job from when you were at Ad Age, your time here, and bringing over to Quad. Would be remiss not to ask the question.
No, I love that one, Natalie. I will tell you, there is one key lesson that was shared with me by a previous editor, and I can't say the language that he exactly said, because it sounds it would be bad for a public audience. However, sometimes you just have to get over it and ship it. And I was very much into the job at Ad Age of having everything be perfect, and having everything be brilliant, and having everything be pixel perfect. And I think the point of being a good CMO is that you can't, the enemy of progress is perfection, I think, in some capacity. And I don't want to have everything. I'd love for everything to be perfect, but you know what? It isn't. You have to kind of just keep going. And I that one singular lesson that I endlessly had to learn within Ad Age, which was, there's another article tomorrow or another magazine in another week, and you get over it. And I think that muscle over 5 years of doing that, like, oh, it's not great, let's try it this way, or this event wasn't perfect, can we do it this way next time? Although all events are always perfect. I think that's the lesson, the great lesson that I take from that. And I think that is probably the most important one. And maybe it just gets me out of my old account guy training of everything has to be perfect into like, no, it's not gonna be perfect, but if we just move this big rock forward, it's hard enough to do that. And then you can fix it again. So it's successive approximations to the goal, which I believe is probably the most important piece.
All right. So it's keep going, progress over perfection, and wear your workout close to bed. I got it. I've got the winning formula.
That was it. That was
I'm
all
ready to go. Well, that is unfortunately all the time we have for today. I feel like we could keep going on and on forever. Josh, thank you so much for being here.
I enjoyed this, Natalie.
So
really,
thank you
really
to Josh Golden, CMO of Quad, for the wonderful conversation. And thanks to all of you for joining us. For Ad Age Studio 30 Live, I'm Natalie Zfat, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.